Hey, Marissa.
Hey, Ryan.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Welcome. I'm your host, Ryan McKeen.
And I am Marisa Rua.
Welcome to The Way with your best era hosts, Ryan McKeen and Brittany Green. The podcast where we dive deep into the world of legal business and marketing. Each week, we'll be discussing the latest trends, strategies, and insights that are shaping the legal industry. So whether you're a lawyer, marketer, or business owner in the legal industry, this podcast is for you.
So, Marissa, we were in here sometime in the fall. You joined us in end of September, early October, doing specifically personal injury paralegal training. How's that going for you?
It's amazing. I'm loving every second of it. I love all of our clients that we get to work with. Everybody has been super receptive, and it's definitely changing.
So what is it that you do? What do firms, if they're, when do they reach out to you? What kind of training do you provide?
So mainly it's the firm's attorney. They reach out. They want to get either a new paralegal or case manager up to speed on their practices, or they have somebody that's been with them for a few months and they're, after they've learned the cases a little bit, they want to give them more high profile cases or more in-depth work that they need somebody from the outside to sit with them and do. The paralegals, I go through an initial training with them, and then we do follow-ups, and each of those follow-ups, they always bring more questions, like they need help on tasks. It's really great. I have a great time working with everyone.
Yeah, we are so lucky to have you. We identified this as a massive need in the personal injury space. And when we were at Connecticut Trial Firm, you were our best training paralegal, able to help other paralegals understand how to handle files and really settle cases and help clients. It's just such important work, and to be able to have you doing that full time, I think, is just fantastic for us and for our clients here at Best Era.
Yeah.
So awesome. What I wanted to talk to you about, is one of the books that changed my life was a book called Damages 3 by David Ball. And a lot of personal injury lawyers out there know the book Damages and Damages 3 by David Ball. David, interesting cat. He was actually a theater guy.
Nice.
And, but he understood a good story and understood how to connect. And so he writes this book, Damages 3, which really revolutionizes the way that personal injury lawyers try cases and is in many ways the foundation for lots of high verdicts out there today. And I think the book remains almost as relevant now as it did 15 years ago when it was published. But one of the things that David says, and he has a page in his book, and it's the second page of the book, and it says, your job as a personal injury lawyer is to get your client as much money as possible. And he suggests sticking that to the wall, right? And I've always thought about that. And I thought, that is in fact the job, because otherwise, people could just settle claims, right? Yeah. They could settle them themselves. They need to be better off by going to a law firm or a lawyer, and they should get better results, and they do. I mean, the insurance companies say that it's 3.5x if you have a law firm versus not having a law firm. Right. So whatever fee you're paying is a great return on investment. So I read this book, and I love it. And as I grow in sort of a business owner, and look, at Best Era, we work with firms all over the country, and we work in different disciplines. We work every practice area that you can think of, right? And in most practice areas, if businesses are looking to make more money, they really have two levers that they can pull. One being that they can get more clients. Yep. Or two being that they can raise their prices, right? So if you build 1,000 hours at $500 an hour, and then you raise your rates 100, you get $100,000 more dollars at the end of the year than you had. So there are those two options. But in personal injury, all across the country, there's no ability to do that.
Right.
You can't raise your rates. Your fees are set by statute. They're capped by statute. They are contingency based. But personal injury has another wrinkle to it, which is something that I very firmly believe, that the firm you hire matters, the paralegal you have on the case matters, the attorney matters, and they can add value. And what I mean by that is some lawyer may look at the case and say, hey, it's worth 30,000. And maybe 10 lawyers look at the case and say it's worth 30,000.
Yep.
But if you have one and you have a team, a lawyer, paralegal firm, who can look at the case and say, no, this is worth 150,000,
Yep.
and go out and get it, that is possible. That is
Right.
not possible in an hourly space. So really what I wanted to talk to you about today was cash ruling everything around us,
Absolutely.
and how a good, trained, competent paralegal can add value to cases.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that if you have a well-rounded paralegal, you might be doing great. And they can see from just that point of view that you train them on how to look at a case. But it goes much deeper than that. And I think what it comes down to is that there's not enough time to get into the nitty-gritty, because the attorney is probably busy, doing more high-level legal work, whereas the paralegal is constantly hands-on with the case and just going through the motions. But I think what's essential is having that paralegal that can really deep dive into those cases and understand, like, if there's something that may make the value of the case $10,000 more, they're paying attention to those key details and then bringing it to your attention or the attorney's attention. I think our role, we are so involved with the clients and their case and the adjusters more times than the attorney can be. And that's what we're hired for. That's what we're there for. So I think we can catch those details a lot quicker. And when you find them faster, it just expedites the settlement of the case. And so having somebody that is trained on paying attention to those high value details, I think is going to be beneficial. It'll bring in a lot more cash flow. The higher the value of the case, the higher the attorney's fee.
Can you give us some examples of, either things that you came across in your career or things that you train out here now at Best Era for paralegals to be looking for in their files?
Yeah. So one of the things I stress the most is the liens process. Having liens early on, notifying your client that there may be a potential lien, so they're not at the end of the case stressing out like, I didn't know this, and what do you mean there's a lien? I don't owe anybody money. I think getting those resolved quickly, determining what the potential lien could be so that you have a better way to negotiate the file. You're going to negotiate it for much more. Whereas if you were to come down and it's a very minor, settlement amount, and then all of a sudden you get a lien of half of the settlement, that's going to really hurt the case significantly. Another thing I always stress to pay attention to is the medical records. Like, personal injury and medical records are hand in hand. A car accident case, your client is going to go for treatment. Paying attention to those medical records and the medical expenses. If there's a suggestion of surgery, don't just, they said there might be a surgery and ignore it. Like, you need to tell the attorney, we may need to see if there's a future cost. Because those things can be included in a settlement. They may not be a charge right away, but there is a charge that will come up later on in their life, maybe after the case settles. They need to be prepared for that. And essentially, it's the at-fault party's responsibility to make sure that client receives the full and fair compensation for their case, even if their surgery is not right away. So those are two definitely major factors that I say to pay attention to. And another thing that just brings value is having somebody outside training your paralegals and your case managers, and you're able to focus on your clients. As the attorney, you can make sure that your time is directed appropriately, knowing how and what to delegate down so you could do higher level stuff, settle cases quicker. There may be a case that is just kind of sitting there in a stagnant state because you don't really have time to look at it. It could be a very high value case, but there's not, maybe it just happened a year ago and you still have time before it goes into litigation. I think having somebody on the outside gives you the ability to focus on what your job is, what your daily tasks are. And a huge thing has been our Slack channel. I mean, we created a paralegal Slack, And that's something that would have changed my career as a paralegal, like first starting out, for sure.
So we'll get to the Slack channel and the ongoing stuff that we're going to be doing. To me, as a lawyer, I'm not been a paralegal except when I was a complete solo and having to do it all myself, right? There are several things like that are even fundamental that drive value of cases, right? So I mean, obviously, if like the paralegal reads the police report and says, "Oh my gosh, he was drunk," the defendant was drunk.
Yeah.
Well, that's an obvious value
Yep.
add, but there are value adds in terms of organization of the file, making sure that everything is there, making sure that, for example, that you have all records and bills, right? That can just basically impact value because if somebody goes to the ER, you may have the ER bill, but maybe there was an attending physician, maybe there was imaging, and all of those can be separate bills and they may have to be separate requests. So maybe your client has 16,000 in meds instead of 10, and you're not catching it. Maybe your client you haven't gotten lost wage information.
Yeah.
All of those are very hard numbers that you can put up that are going to cause the insurance company to respond. So a good paralegal has their files in order and has those checklists and those processes. Do we have this? Do we have that? Do we have this? And, any one of these things, like not having lien information, not having all the meds, all of those things can slow down a file or devalue the file if you are just unaware of those things. The other thing is client communication. Clients need their hands held, and you need to make sure that they're treating appropriately. Are they really hurt and they're not treating? Well, that's a problem. Are they all better and still treating? That's a problem. To me, having really good paralegals and case managers, especially early on in a case, really communicating with those clients, understanding their injuries, understanding different things that may hurt, making sure that they're getting the correct medical care is critical in adding values. In fact, there was some conference I went to where somebody had done a study. I wish I had more than this, but it was that frequent communication, especially in the pre-lit process, caused case values to be up 40%.
I agree with that. I think that's a very valid point. And I do also in my training, I stress the importance of encouraging treatment when it's needed. And at times, I think this may be brand new to them. They may go to their yearly physical every year, but that's to the extent of their treatment. And beyond that, they don't know where physical therapy. Yes, we have Google. We all use Google, but there are some clients that they don't know. They just can't figure it out, and just encouraging them, calling the place and getting their first appointment set up for them, because it's not always their fault at times. Sometimes the provider's office, you have somebody new at the front desk and they don't know what a med pay is or what PIP is or letters of protection. They just say, we don't take that. But they do, because we know we've sent other clients there and they've accepted it before. So I think just assisting the client in getting into treatment after they get in the first time, they're going to be able to figure it out by themselves, but help them schedule that appointment. It'll take you probably 15 minutes maybe altogether.
Those are all great tips. And I'm sure, I know that you teach a whole bunch else for paralegals and case managers out there in the personal injury space. And I just want to say, as a law firm owner and a personal injury firm in particular, the biggest issue oftentimes is cash flow, where your cases could be worth a lot of money, but they may take too long to come in, and they may come in sporadically. And but look, payroll is never sporadic. Payroll needs to be paid every week or every other week or whatever the pay cycle is. So the faster you can move your cases, the less cash flow issue. And also, in terms of client satisfaction, clients rate us on two things. They rate us on communication and they rate us on speed of handling the matter. So if they feel like their matter's carrying on because you're not doing your job, they're not going to be happy with you, right? So the interest of the client and the firm are completely aligned here, and having people who are trained and have the skills to push through, to see what's important, to put things in the right place is so critical in a PI firm. And, my big theme for this year, I think, is that the firms that there's a lot of flattening in the legal space. And what I mean by that is a lot of the most successful firms are using the same marketing companies who are spending the same money. They're using the same case management software. So it's harder to obtain edges in those sorts of places where the firms that are going to win are the firms that are going to obtain edges in their people. And it's a tough labor market out there. But it doesn't mean that people don't want to do good work. It's going to be the firms that invest in the training, and not just the training of the lawyers, not just the training of the law firm owner, the training of the people who are in the trenches every day delivering the legal services. That is what's going to be the differentiator. So with that, can you talk about some of the things that I know you do? One-on-one consulting, or you do consulting with firms.
Yep.
Can you talk about some of the other things that you are going to be doing this year?
Yeah, very exciting news. We have things in the works here. Best Era for our paralegals. Our Slack community is growing, and we're going to announce a very exciting subscription soon for paralegals and law firm owners to subscribe to. But yeah, so we have our Slack community. I have a dedicated paralegal channel where it's super beneficial. Something I mentioned earlier that I wish I had throughout my career as a paralegal. If anybody's familiar with Slack, or if you're not, it's essentially like an instant messaging type of platform. It doesn't have to be an internal only system. You can come into the channels from outside as long as you have the software. But it helps because paralegals can go in there throughout the day and just ask me questions or ask the community of paralegals questions. And that way they're not interrupting whoever else is either the managing paralegal or the attorney or the office manager. Helps with the interruptions from what you're doing throughout the day. And it's beneficial because we have a community of paralegals that can all answer the question. It doesn't necessarily always have to be me, but I'm the one that's mainly looking at it every single day. So if you go in there and you're like, Marisa, I can't figure this task out. They're saying that I need to, review the lien ledger against the medical records and bills and see what we need. And I'm not sure what that means. I'm like, oh, no worries. It means like this, this, and this. And, we could set up calls. Yeah. So the Slack channel, something that is, I stress to all of my clients, get on, use the Slack. I promise you, I'm here, I'm listening, I'm ready to answer your questions. So.
Right. And it, our big thing is ongoing support, ongoing maintenance, ongoing reinforcement, learning materials. And look, as a firm owner, as we grew, it was very hard to get to training because we didn't have a full-time trainer on our team. And oftentimes we were stuck doing what we did with you, like take some of our best paralegals and have them train new people. But if you're training people, you're not moving your own files.
Right.
And, personal injury firms in particular can be very busy, and there's not a lot of extra time to do those things. So having it done outside is definitely a service that I wish I had. And Marisa is leading the way out there. And I'm really excited for what we have and what you have in store in 2025.
I'm so excited. It's a collab. It's definitely a collab, but I am super, super excited. It's going to be good stuff.
This is your second time on the podcast. So we end our podcast with, what is it that you are watching, reading, listening to here in 2025?
I think I need to probably switch it up a little bit, but I listen to 2020 and Dateline podcasts almost every single day. I'm a crime junkie for sure. But other than that, I'm getting into Unreasonable Hospitality.
Yeah.
Can't wait to finish that book up. It's been great so far. So, How about you?
Yeah. I told Brittany that and Marissa and I are both Wu-Tang fans. So that's why
I think we did that last time. I think we should do it every time.
Every time. This is the Wu-Tang episode, Wu-Tang edition of the Way podcast. I said I was watching the Wu-Tang Hulu series. I started watching that over break. But just last night, Allison found like these Funny or Die videos mocking Full House. And so I started watching those. I'll have Pam put them in the show notes. oh my gosh, are they funny?
Yeah.
Don't watch them around your children.
No.
Completely inappropriate, but hysterical 3-4 minute clips
Yeah.
summarizing Full House episodes.
Yeah. I've been really into watching ski and snowboarding videos lately because I'm trying to get my techniques down a little bit better. So.
I've been watching pizza dough videos as well to really get my
Educate
technique.
yourself, you know?
Because Marisa and Brittany, we had our annual meeting, was over my house. I made pizza, but it
10 out of
really
10.
wasn't shaped right. So I was like, I need it to be a circle.
Yeah.
But fortunately, there's a YouTube video for that.
Yeah.
So, and last night I made pizzas that look like circles. So
Right.
there you go.
But what there's not a YouTube video on is paralegal training.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you, Marisa. And,
Ryan.
if you're out there, don't hesitate to reach out to Marisa at bestera.io. You can find her on our website. Contact us on social. We will hook you up and talk about leveling up your paralegal posse.
Yeah.
There you go.
I like it.
All right.
All right, Method Man, like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of The Way with Best Era. Be sure to visit our website, bestera.io. From there, get more resources, insights, and to connect with us directly. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform. That way you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep striving for your version of success.